Have you ever just looked at some leaders or some companies and wondered, how do they do it? How do they get people so excited, so loyal? Well, according to Simon Sinek's Start With Why, the secret isn't what they do, it's why they do it. And this idea isn't just another business strategy, it's a really powerful way to inspire people and honestly, to find more meaning in what you do every day. So today, we're going to dive in and break down Sinek's core ideas. All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with his famous golden circle. That's the foundation for everything. Then we'll look at how incredible stories bring that idea to life. We'll get into the huge difference between manipulating people and truly inspiring them, and what that means for leadership and culture. And finally, we'll see how great ideas spread, and how you can use all of this to maybe even rediscover your own purpose. So let's get right to the heart of Sinek's philosophy, the golden circle. It seems almost deceptively simple at first, but trust me, it has some pretty massive implications for how we all communicate and connect with each other. Okay, so just picture 3 circles, one inside the other. Right in the middle, at the very core, is your why. This is your purpose, your belief, the real reason you do what you do. The next circle out is your how. These are the values or principles you live by, how you bring that why to life. And then on the very outside, you've got your what, the actual things you do, the products you make, the services you offer. Now, here's the kicker. This is the big insight. Most of us, and most companies, we communicate from the outside in. We say, here's what we do, and here's how we're different. Want to buy one? But the most inspiring leaders, the most influential brands, they completely flip that. They start from the inside out. They start with why. And that one little shift, well, it changes absolutely everything. It's the difference between just making a transaction and starting a real movement. To really get a feel for how powerful this why is, Sinek points to some incredible stories that show us exactly what this looks like out in the real world. Just think about Martin Luther King Jr. He stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, but he didn't say, "Folks, I have a detailed 12-point plan." No, he said, "I have a dream." He shared his why. And that dream is what grabbed people's hearts, what inspired millions, and what literally changed the course of history. Or take a look at Apple. I mean, sure, they sell computers, that's their what, but their message never, ever leads with that. They lead with their why, this idea of challenging the status quo, of thinking differently. People don't wait in line for hours just for a new phone. They're lining up for what that phone represents. And then you have the Wright Brothers. They weren't the team with the most money or the best connections, not even close. But what they had was this unshakable passion. This deep belief that if they could just figure out human flight, it would change the world forever. That why is what kept them going when everyone else quit. What these stories really show us is that when you lead with why, you don't just get a sale. You build real loyalty, real trust, and a legacy that lasts. So why do these messages that start with why hit us so hard? Sinek says the answer isn't just about good marketing. It's actually baked into our biology. Okay, think of your brain like this. You've got the neocortex, that's the logical part. It gets facts, figures, all the features, it understands the what. But then you've got the limbic brain. This is the emotional, gut-feeling part. It's where trust and loyalty and decision-making come from. And here's the wild part. The limbic brain, the part that makes the actual decisions, has zero capacity for language. So when a message starts with why, it's speaking directly to the decision-making part of our brain. It creates this powerful feeling, this connection, that we then try to make sense of with the what. This whole brain connection thing really shines a light on 2 totally different ways to influence people. On one side, you have manipulation. Think price cuts, scary ads, limited time-only offers. Sure, they might work once, but they don't build any loyalty. But on the other side, you have inspiration, and that's all about shared beliefs, authenticity. Manipulation gets you a transaction. Inspiration earns you a loyal follower. It's really the difference between having a one-time customer and creating a true believer. Which, of course, leads us right into the idea of leadership. Because according to Sinek, real leadership has nothing to do with your title or being the boss. It's about inspiring people to follow you, even when they don't have to. We often think that charisma is something you're born with, that it's about being really outgoing. But Sinek says that's not it at all. Real charisma comes from having a crystal clear purpose. When you are so clear on your why, you just naturally attract people who believe the same things you do. And that is how you start to build a culture where people feel like they actually belong. And when things get tough or confusing, that why becomes the compass that points everyone in the right direction. And when a whole organization starts to lead with why, something incredible happens. You create a culture that's built on a foundation of deep, genuine trust. In a culture like that, your employees aren't just showing up for a paycheck. They feel like they're part of a mission. Your customers, they become your biggest fans, your best advocates. Every single decision from the top all the way down just aligns with that core purpose. And that's why Sinek says you absolutely have to hire for belief first. You can always teach someone a skill, but you can't teach them to believe. Get that right, and it creates this incredible ripple effect through the entire organization. Okay, so if starting with why is so powerful, how do these ideas actually get out there and reach everybody? Well, to explain this, Sinek points to a really famous idea called the law of diffusion of innovation.
So this law basically maps out how people adopt new ideas. On one end, you have your innovators and early adopters. These are the people who jump on board right away because they're drawn to the why. But to hit the big time, you need to win over the early majority, and they need a bit more convincing. That space between the early folks and the mainstream is called the chasm. And Sinek's whole point is that leading with why is the bridge. It's what builds the trust and momentum you need to cross that chasm and make a real, lasting impact.
And this isn't just some abstract theory for Sinek. He actually shares this incredibly personal story about a time when he lost his own passion. He felt really unhappy with his work and basically had to go on a journey to rediscover his own why, to find his way back. It's such a powerful reminder that this stuff applies to every single one of us, not just giant corporations. His experience taught him some really important lessons. One is that you can have all the success in the world, but without a purpose behind it, it just feels hollow. And that feeling of burnout that so many of us get, he says that's often a direct result of being disconnected from our why. But here's the good news. Rediscovering it can totally reignite that creative spark and make you feel resilient again. So in the end, Start with Why is so much more than a leadership book. It's really an invitation to look inward and start applying these same exact ideas to our own lives. And it leaves us with some really important questions to think about. First, and this is the big one, why do I do what I do? And from there, it's natural to ask, what are the beliefs that are really, truly driving my actions every single day? And finally, the question that really brings it all home, how can I take that clarity, that conviction about my purpose, and use it to inspire the people around me? Finding the answer to that, well, that's the whole ballgame. That's the power of starting with why.